Hey, what's up, creators? This is John, and you have once again found the Sketch Podcast. I am here, as always, with publisher Bob Hickey, editor Bill Nichols, and tonight we are talking about mentoring. Bill Nichols specialty,
Hey,
actually. So, first and foremost, as always, how you doing, guys?
still got a cold, John, but
I can
getting
tell.
better. Yeah.
I'm doing good, John. Thanks.
All right, cool. So, mentoring. It is your purview, Bill, but I think we all can probably chime in here and there. First off, what exactly is a mentor when you're looking at it from the field of comic books?
Basically, and this is with anything, it's looking at a situation or a person and giving your expertise or your experience or whatever, um, using that as a way of sort of helping that person get better, maybe, you know, or giving someone the benefit of your knowledge, basically. I mean, more or less. I mean, it can go as deep or as more, as in depth, or maybe just something simple. But uh, I mean, with me, it started as portfolio reviews and all that, and it's gone not. It's sort of gone from that impersonal or that with people that I don't know at conventions to people that I have come to know through Comics Mentor and Sketch Magazine. So and comic related forum. So it's sharing a view in a way. So
Well, let's the most obvious thing being portfolio. And we've touched on this here and there in the past 20 or so podcasts, but let's nail it down. What makes a good Actually, not even what makes it good. What makes the best portfolio? What would be the portfolio that you would walk in there and editor A, B, and C would go, wow, here's a job? That never
uh,
happens, obviously, but, pretend.
well, it can happen, but I think with a portfolio, really what you want to do is show the best of what you can do, and if you can show some of your own personality, your own. I mean, there are people out there who can mimic styles really well, but that can get you a job in some instances. But to have a career and for it to be something that you love to do, you sort of have to put some of yourself into it. And if you, here's a good example, Bill Sienkiewicz. Uh, I've seen some stuff he did that looked spot on Neil Adams ish, and but as he was doing Moon Knight and some other things, his own style, his own personality came into his art. He became, it started to flow out. When he did uh, Electro Assassin with Frank Miller, uh, in an interview I read, Frank Miller was telling the rational part of the story, and his take on it was he was telling the irrational part of the story because the art was not realistic in places. It was I don't know, something, some of what we've come to know from him. So um, some people are put off by those things, and some people don't want to invest in maybe art or style of writing or into the artist themselves or the creator themselves. But in a portfolio, there are sometimes when you can tell just in a few pages that the person has one, the fundamentals, what they need to do the job, and two, a love of that. Sometimes that can just show right through. They can probably fake it if they're really good at faking it, but um, I sort of look at that and it's what you can do and how you can do it. So very simple answer, I guess, but not really. I don't know. Sort of zen. How about that?
There you
Hmm.
go. And this one would probably be for Bob. what do you think about the advent of the electronic portfolio? You think that's a good thing, or you think people still prefer the tactility of being able to flip back and forth through a page?
No, I think the electronics where it's all going to go. The cons are nice, but I mean, Bill can attest to this. In the past couple of years, they've done a lottery draw. They've handed out tickets. They've limited the amount of people through to access to editors and just to keep the line short so the editors aren't all day because there's so many people wanting to get in that if you can get a name of an editor or associate editor or third dairy editor, somebody, and you kick them not the same stuff each month, but once a month you kick them the newest stuff. One, you're showing them I'm working, I'm creating new stuff. And if you're creating new stuff, you're getting better. They see that you're getting better and better. And they could pass your stuff on to other people with a flip of an email. Hey, your style doesn't fit me over in Spider-Man, but we're doing this dark Spider-Man over there. I'll send you to their editor. Boom, flip with an email your stuff at another editor that you didn't even send. So electronic submissions is great. Finding and getting a contact is probably what you have to go to the shows and do. And a lot of them won't take open submissions either, as far as writing or story. So you can't just openly send them. You got to make that first connection. But yeah, electronic is where it's really at. Whether you leave them something at a show on a disk or a flash drive or something, or send it to them in an email, or you know what, DeviantArt, guys. I just thought of that. Start building your portfolio Deviant and send them that link. Bill spends more time. I've got to start spending more time on DeviantArt. Jackie's been on me to get over there and start posting the Claysway stuff and building that up over there. But DeviantArt or something like that is probably going to be the future portfolios for the comic industry.
Yeah, there's another website I think I mentioned before called artesian.com,
Mm-hmm.
and you can actually import your DeviantArt gallery into that gallery too. And they're both much the same, but I guess maybe there's more, not so much painted artists, maybe some digital artists too. On the windows are different, so sometimes it's easier to look at different artists than on DeviantArt. But they're both good for what they are.
I wonder if that's because DeviantArt's getting so funky about if you don't create this all yourself, you can't post it. I don't know if you kept up, but recently DeviantArt's really gone nuts about if you don't create it, you shouldn't post it or da da da.
Right.
So I wonder if that other site's a little bit more lenient on that.
Well, one of our Sketch Magazine contributors, Bob Allman, has really been into that with as far as an inker, because according to their quote unquote rules, as an inker, they don't want you posting something without the penciler's permission. And I post all my inks there anyway. All my inks have who they are, who the penciler is. But that's just one of the part of that may be a misinterpretation or a lack of interpretation of what an inker does, and that's really like the Inkwell awards. And Bob has been he started that, and it's been going for the past, I think, 3 years. And I was one of the first committee members. That there are people who don't know what an inker is, and
right.
So that is part of it. But there's always that possibility that someone has claimed credit for a piece that is not their own.
Right.
That doesn't happen a lot, but there are a lot of people who are quick to spot that stuff, and they're quick to report it too. So thankfully, there are people in place that do that.
Right.
Even in times I've seen cases where people have, like T-shirt companies have used art for T-shirts, like on eBay, their eBay stores or whatever. So, but like again, there are people who are quick to spot that stuff, who have seen it on DeviantArt or maybe on somebody's website, and eBay's not very happy when that happens either,
Oh no.
because they'll freeze accounts and stuff too.
Right.
I think.
Right.
So yeah, um, there are. I mean, there are bonuses and pluses and minuses for both, but yeah, getting your stuff, your work out there where people can see it, because then you get feedback, and then you can get some. You can build relationships too, or collaborations. Um, the more people who have eyes on your stuff, who will give you an honest opinion,
Mm-hmm.
Just like with the comics mentor thing, I don't tell people what they want to hear. I tell them honestly what I feel, and they're free to take that. I'm not mean, which
No.
because
No.
that's one of the first things you said to me when I did portfolio reviews is how can you be so diplomatic? It's like, well, I mean, I've been on this the other side of the table too, and that's it. Not to encourage someone unnecessarily, but I'm not there to bash them, to tell them to quit. I mean, I've seen people who just, maybe are more in need of work, or maybe more in need of a direction, but um, I mean, part of the portfolio process is if you're not there yet, and you're showing your portfolio around a convention, it's finding ways to get there. So, and that's what I'm there for, if I'm, or even online, is to be there for other people who need eyes, who need a sounding board if they have a story, that kind of thing. So, and I think well, it was in the last podcast. It was 2 days ago that we recorded it.
Right.
That that those are teaching moments for me, and it isn't about me. It's about the person who's being helped, and it's about comics, or it's about creativity. I don't want to limit it to comics, because I've helped people with their websites and promotions on their websites, and some other things, give them ideas about how to maybe get past maybe they're to a point where they don't really know where to go next, and maybe I can give them a few ideas here and there, or a different way of looking at where they are, so actually they can see the road that's actually before them. They just couldn't see it before.
Right.
Like in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Take a leap of faith.
There you go.
I pulled that one out of my head.
There you go. Hey, the boards are sort of like that too, though, right? Like with the art
Oh, yeah.
contests and stuff, we get good replies back from people.
Yeah, when we do our sketch magazine contest, like for example, this last one, I think we had something like 20, maybe 20 judges, and there were pros and people in the industry, and I have a bunch of people that I ask, and they are, and to be honest, this last time we got more comments and words of praise, or words of maybe this person needs to didn't tackle it the way that the spirit of the contest or whatever, but here's what I thought about it, and I got a lot of those. And that just helps. And if you are involved in the contest, which I always encourage you to do, then that is not only that could be a teaching moment for you as well, because sometimes it's hard to look at your own work and be objective.
Right.
But you can look at someone else doing the same pages, just like Jerry Foley and I back in the day when we were doing inking samples. We would ink the same pages, and I would look at things that Jerry did, and I would look at things that I did. It's like, okay, that's what he did. And it was, we would look at each other's pages to, learn from those. And looking at someone else's approach of an idea, say it's Blood and Roses battling a Minotaur, which was the contest I was talking about. Seeing how someone else has approached that idea, what they did do, what they didn't do. Did they do what I asked? Did they show the things that I told them were there? And did they do it in a dynamic form? Was it uh, they just sort of throw something out there?
Right.
And some people are they fit it in with between other things, and um, like I said, those are teaching moments too, or can be, and they are learning moments because you can learn from reading, from looking at all um, those entries and the responses that other people make, and then you can. That's a quick tutorial right there that you can take sound advice from and see what does this person have a valid point? What would you do in that situation? And what are you going to do the next time?
Right.
And so contests and challenges can be invaluable for those. And I'm going to push hours, uh, and I'll push hours because of the people that have been good enough to give their opinions. And the people that actually got to send their votes in on time. I mean, they're doing it around their schedules, but I do have another, say, I think maybe 10 or a dozen who said, hit me up next time because, I want to do this. Right now I'm in the middle of a deadline.
Right.
Like Bill Reinhold, he'll be great for the inking one.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he'd do it.
Cool.
And, oh yeah, Bill's a great guy. And, I mean, there were others. And, I got a whole group of industry friends, quote unquote, and contacts and stuff, and they're just generous with their um, comments if they can, because they do the same things that shows too. They show um, their knowledge and their insights whenever they look at someone's portfolio, or um, maybe look at somebody else's project or whatever, and maybe they see something that other people don't. But your life is full of teaching and learning moments, and it's what you take and what you give that um, can shape not only your comics career or life or whatever, but someone else's as well. And I think it's sort of that pay it forward thing.
Right.
If someone's done it for you, maybe do it for someone else. Like I said, you don't have to blow smoke at somebody and go, "Oh, that's the best piece of Spider-Man art I've ever seen." But maybe it's say like a Todd McFarlane-ish thing where the leg is cocked at a certain way, and if you know the rules and you can break the rules realistically, if you can force the perspective a little bit. um, I've seen some people who do that, have tried to do that, and it's as if you have taken Spider-Man's leg and stuck it on his back,
Right.
and um, but that's again, that's a teaching moment where you say, well, I would do it like this. And we had one contest that I mentioned before where Francesco, um, who's a buddy, actually redrew parts of people's submissions, their art to illustrate his point,
Right.
and that was just so cool. And nobody expected to see that, but here's their art corrected in a way, and like somebody's hat was flying off, and he said it works better if it's tilted this way because that's the way the head would go, and that's the way the movement would go of the hat.
Right.
And that was awesome.
Oh yeah. Francesco's awesome.
Yeah, and he's one of the judges who, when he gets a chance, um, he'll put his 2 cents worth in, and like I said, there's a host of them, and I'm glad for every one of them. You're one of them when you have a chance.
You don't have a chance. So, I know.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah. Give me a hard time.
Somebody's got to do
Yeah,
it.
that's true. Hey, he's back.
Hey, I was never gone.
I thought.
You were in my other ear.
Ah. As we were chatting, I'll just throw this out there. We now have a Android app for the podcast.
Woohoo!
I will be posting a link, and guys grab it and stick it wherever you want it to. It's a $1.99. It'll work on any Android activated phone. It runs Android software, and you get all of our podcast downloaded for free. So I just now received that email. So I don't have an Android phone. I have an iPhone. So, but yeah, that's cool. They asked me the other day. I said, yeah, don't cost me anything, guys. Go for it. So they went ahead and designed it up. So we're on the Droid now. Woohoo!
The Droid.
Man,
Man, we're getting this podcast everywhere.
we are big time. Awesome.
Big time.
Well, I mean, that's when you said that, that reminds me of Gary Barker. Joe Orlando told him more or less the same thing, and um, he's Gary draws Garfield, and he's awesome. And there's another person who's just in the last couple of months have said the same thing to me, and I'm trying to think who they. I want to say it was maybe Jim Craig or somebody, but had said the same thing, that someone not so much challenged them, but told them, more or less to quit in a way or whatever. But you could say that they challenged them.
Right.
You said euphemism in there, but yeah, I mean that sounds like Gary's experience too. And like I said, you have your own style of mentoring, and that's what it is. I mean, otherwise people wouldn't look up to you, and they do. So there.
Isn't because I'm. Never mind.
Right. It's mentoring, but especially with some of the people you're dealing with, you need to slide a little tact in there.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on the tech part. That's what I got, Bill.
Yeah.
No.
Now there's a host of people also that I will say that I'm talking to about doing something for Sketch, and Bob will say, you might want to leave my name out of it because we, had words.
I've been in this industry for 20 something, almost
Yeah,
30
and
years.
it may have been.
You can't help but bumping heads with a few people. It's amazing that I've bumped head with people that I don't even know. Somehow, it's funny. That's a whole different podcast. It's amazing that you can go.
Yeah.
And why do they think I did that? And it's something they just totally come up on their own about. So.
Oh, it's simple. This is a very small, very incestuous industry we're in. Word travels.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, you've said this to me more than once that what you say gets out there.
Yes,
so.
I have. Be careful upon your image.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, right back at you.
Yeah.
Be careful about your image.
Most of my blunders happened before there was internet. That's how long I've been around.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, there were things in the past, and to your credit, I tell you not to do that. And I mean, you have to remember that you're dealing with egos, and I'm not talking to you.
Right.
That's not pointed at Bob. That's when you're talking to other people. If you're a teacher or you're looking at someone else's portfolio or it's your best friend, you're dealing with their ego too, just as if it's the golden rule does come into play. You don't want to be treated that way,
right?
Necessarily, but you want to give as good as you get. So there is a balance there, or there can be a balance there, and you can both learn from that. If the outcome is a positive result,
right,
and not about one-upping everybody. I mean, that can be a friendly competition, like with me and Jerry when we were inking. He's like, "Oh, you did that," or I would look at something and he would do something with a brush because I was using a quill a lot more. We would go back and forth, and that was, we were making ourselves better. And at the same time, we were also. That's why I wish Sketch Magazine had been there back then, because that's and Sketch Magazine as a mentoring thing, as a mentoring device, a resource. I want it to be there for people. I want it to be a thing that when we were coming up or doing these samples ourselves, that we would have loved to have. available to us because it is. You know, we wish that we had Sketch Magazine back in the day. You
Yes.
know, about looking at inks or what we were inking with, or not having just to rely on uh, interviews and that kind of thing, and CBG or someplace else, or people that we knew. But you know, but out of that experience has come, our experiences and things that we can impart to other people
Right.
too, and we can share with other people who are doing the same thing or have done the same thing. So, I mean, there are all kinds of opportunities and venues where you can mentor other people, even if it's commenting on somebody's piece on one of the message boards or DeviantArt or anything else. So you don't have to be a butt about it.
I agree.
Um, and I wasn't pointing that at you either.
Yeah, you were. But come on,
No,
John, take up for me
no.
here. Come on.
Why? He's right.
Hey.
No.
Hey,
Sorry, you walked right into that one. Sorry. But no. Well, and I think part of the thing is too, and I've been guilty of this at school, um, and I've actually seen Bill never does it, but I've actually seen you do it, Bob. When you talk to
Mhm.
people, you'll um you'll talk to them as if they are a friend. You're very friendly. You're very gregarious when you meet
Is
people.
that good?
It's good
Oh, okay.
usually, but if they don't know you that well, they won't get you,
Right.
and they won't necessarily get what you're saying. That might be a joke.
Right.
Like I've known you for a lot of years, so I can kind of see through the exterior
Yeah.
there to know what you mean. And this is kind of true for everybody. It's not just you, but your convenience. I can see through the exterior to know what you're saying behind, all the stuff. Not everybody sees that.
Right.
So I think, if you're doing or if you're mentoring someone and it's early on, you have to be really careful about how you approach them until they get to know you.
Right.
Because you're one of those people. My father-in-law's a lot like this. My father-in-law knows no strangers. He will talk to anybody he ever met about anything. And it's he'll just walk up to a stranger on the street and just talking to him. It's just the way he
Right.
is. And it's kind of the way you are at
Mhm.
shows I've seen. So,
Well,
you know,
it,
there's a tempering thing that I think has to go on
right.
there. If they don't necessarily know you that
Mhm.
well, you're a big one for first impressions.
Right.
Yeah, usually. So that
Well, I guess I feel like if they're at a comic show, I'm at a comic show, we automatically have something in common. So
right, true.
let's if it's art, now we got two things in common. Let's go. We're buds. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I sell art supplies. I promote book. I have sketch magazine. I love to mentor. It's talk. And I have no problems
right.
talking. So yeah, I see where you come from. I probably am a little too
Yeah, it's kind of a
relaxed.
double-edged
Hmm.
thing. Yeah, it's a double-edged sort of thing. That it's really good, but then it also may, with some people who may be a little skittish, or artists classically are more skittish,
There's a reason
more
we sit in isolated studios
right.
all day long and draw.
Exactly. Not every artist is that much of a social butterfly, or you've seen a lot. Actually, we know we have a few in our kind of extended
Mhm.
family that are much more private people. Um, so yeah, it kind of scares people sometimes when you have a very gregarious person and a very shy person
Right.
get
Yep.
together. It doesn't always
Right.
click. So that's something to keep in mind. I think if you're going to be a mentor for someone, unless they're already a bud, if you're actively looking to mentor outside your friend
Hmm.
zone, it's something to keep in mind. Anyway, just
Sort of get a feel on who that person is.
yeah, right, kind of feel them
Mhm.
out. Be a little less. I don't want to say be a little less you, but that's the only way I can think of it. Be a little less you until you feel the person out,
Right.
and then you kind of let them see the real person
Yeah,
underneath.
I understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want to be in a portfolio line. The person I was, two people I was thinking of, I was showing samples to Don Daly back at Mental Ohio Con back in the day, and the guy right behind me, I had stippled some stars. I'd done a star scene, and he said, "Those are too small." In front of Don Daly, and
That's
Don
rude.
Daly's looking at my stuff. Yeah, I was. And Don Daly looked at him and said, "No, it depends on your printing." He said, "The small ones will bleed out, but I mean, but the ones that make the pattern are there." And he was the next guy in line, and Don Daly wasn't impressed with his stuff. But and another time, I was showing Willie Peppers and Gary Barker. Well, Willie, I was showing Willie um, some of my pages, and I had the copies of the pencils too. And one of the guys at the show, he wasn't a pro, and I don't think he went anywhere. I'm pretty sure he didn't, but he would hang out with Willie too, and be buddy buddy with him kind of thing. And it said BWS for the Black with Stars, and he didn't know what that
Oh
meant.
yeah.
And I said, well, it doesn't stand for Barry Windsor Smith. And but it's just that sort of superior, and he was taking commissions, but everything was out of some swimsuit catalog kind of thing.
Right.
And but that didn't sit well with me, and that wasn't a first impression because I'd seen him at shows before doing sort of the same thing to other people. But if you do that to me, I will slap you down hard. Uh, I have a couple of buddies who will do that. Who will try to make a joke at my expense. I don't like it, and I'll tell you I don't. And be warned the next time.
Right.
And that's not to either one of you. That's somebody else we know. But
Well, we know better, but and well, and deservedly so. And I think you and I both have said this in different venues to not don't badmouth somebody else's work because for two reasons. One, you may not be as good as you think you are,
mm-hmm.
and two, you never know that person may be the person you're coming to for a job someday.
Yes.
You
Right.
never know who is going to move up or down the ladder. Like I said, we're an incestuous little group here, and the movement goes up and down all the time. So you never know that the person that is standing next to you in a portfolio line today won't be the editor of XYZ Comics tomorrow, and he's the guy you're going to be playing Oliver Twist to try to get a job. So
Right. Or his brother.
or his brother, or someone
or his best
connected.
friend. Yeah.
Right. We're all a lot of us are connected. I mean, Kevin Bacon's got nothing on the comics industry, uh, because in a lot of ways we're all connected and we're all kind of woven together. So a lot of us know each other, and heck, less than 5 years ago, I wouldn't believe that I would know as many people as I know now, just through my other associations. So uh, it's it's kind of crazy the number of people who were just names on a page that I actually know and that talk to on a fairly regular basis. So it's kind of strange. It's a weird little world, but yeah, you have to be really really careful about stuff like that more than anything else. Bad mouthing other people is a one way ticket of getting you pretty much kicked out of everything you're looking to be part of.
Agree.
Especially if you're stupid enough to do it in a blog
Yeah.
situation or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. If you put it in writing, you're double
Yep.
dumb. Then
Well, if somebody can copy and paste your comments and stuff,
indeed, and
um,
it
yeah, things can come back. I mean, somebody wrote a couple of months ago. Somebody did a blog piece somewhere about ways to get cheap ways to get an artist or to get art,
right.
and I think that was basically sort of uncrediting the artist and some other things. But on DeviantArt and a few other places. Those, yeah, it blew up, and that person, they got a lot of reaction. It's like,
I'd
well,
imagine.
I didn't mean it that way, but it was, too little, too late at that point, because for some people, you know, they were dead to them. So, and some people have their professional memory does last, and I mean, I know of one person who became an art director years later, and one of his things to do was to turn people down who had not helped him years before.
Right.
And I mean, I don't have respect for that person because I know the person, um, and I know his talent level on some, his art level was not what he thought it was, but that doesn't sit well with me, and I haven't friended him or allowed him to friend me on, I think, a few of those sites. So uh, my memory of that person and the comments and stuff that had been made, not about me, but about other people in the industry that I don't even know, but I know of and that I respect. Um, yeah, those things do have a way of perpetuating and staying.
Yes.
So, and I have personal knowledge of that. So it's like, well, I just don't like them. You know.
And
So
it kind of falls down to that sometimes too. I mean, you know you may get editors who just don't like people for a slight or a supposed slight, and that could carry forever. That people. I mean, editors are people too. They're just as petty and everything as the rest of us are. So there you we can't stress enough that you have to be really careful what you say and like 10 times as careful what you write
Oh, definitely.
because retweeting is a
Yes.
bitch and it will get out there a million times.
yeah. So if you're looking to be a mentor, you have to have a certain attitude. If you are looking to be mentored by someone else, you also have a certain attitude. A certain expectation. Um, Nobody owes you their opinion, but um, take it with I've had I've like I said, I don't just give somebody my opinion to be mean. Um, if they truly need to work on something, I'll tell them, and this is why I will say it. I don't just throw it out there, and they have all been really good about you know, their response, because they could, if their ego got the best of them, they could had taken it the wrong way,
Right.
and to every one of them's credit, no, they don't. They are taking that opportunity to learn from that and to make the next set of samples or the next pitch idea or the next thing that they're working on better.
Right.
So, and like I said, it's not about me, and I'm not saying it to show off my knowledge. And there are other people out there who are of the same um, mindset. It's not about showing someone, how much we know or how many people we know or how many different types of tools we use in our inking or penciling or whatever. But it is about making people better or helping, hopefully, to make people better or get them things to they can do it themselves, because you can grow, um, and as a mentor you can grow as well because you can see things in other people that maybe inspire you.
Oh,
Right.
Because I
And
like, yeah, I like to
one
be
thing
inspired.
we hope is that there's this give forward too, that they go out and
Right.
inspire somebody or mentor somebody or talk to your local schools or something out there and give also, because it's just going to help spread this industry, you know. So at least I do. I hope that whoever I can touch and
Yeah.
whoever I can help, they turn around and are able to help and pass it on. That'd be a great thing.
right.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say two things really. One, when you're seeking a mentor, you really have to get someone whose opinion you really respect. And someone that I've seen some people who will ask everybody they know for their opinion on stuff, on artwork, on writing, on whatever. They'll go to everybody in the world and ask their
Hmm.
opinion, which I think is kind of really the wrong way to go if you really want to get a good, solid opinion on a piece of work.
You mean take one work and
Because
ask 30 different people upon that one work?
yeah,
Well,
right,
if
yeah, ask 30
I,
different people on that
what
one
it shows me
piece.
is a lot of insecurities.
Right,
If you want
exactly.
that many people to look at it, then it's like, whoa, wait a minute here. You're not too sure about this. Maybe you need to rethink this piece before you start showing it around.
Right, and you're going to get
Or
30 different opinions,
the bad thing would be it's that bad, so you keep asking people,
and you keep
hoping to
asking.
get the answer that you want, and then they
Well,
ask me, who pats everybody on the back, right? And they're happy. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, and there's one person in particular that comes to mind that would do that, and I honestly think they were looking for the one person that was going to say, "Oh yeah, love it, fantastic, run with it." But um, so you really have to find someone whose opinion you really respect, and that you see is going to help you along in whatever you're trying to do. The second thing I was thinking of is if the situation works out right, you'll graduate.
Oh yeah.
You'll no longer need that particular mentor, or you'll no longer need a mentor period. And as you guys were saying a minute ago, hopefully you'll be able to go on and be a mentor somewhere else.
Yes.
The hope of this is that you grow,
Right.
and you you become the master and you leave the teacher, to use an old analogy. So um, hopefully that's the way it goes. Now, I've seen some people who are constantly looking for that validation from the same person many, many, many years down the line, and it doesn't always work because mentors grow too, and they grow out of that position where they started the mentorship. So it's hard to sustain that,
Right.
especially if you're not growing at the same rate, speed, level, however you want to put it. And
Good
I've
point.
killed the podcast.
You do that every so often.
No,
I do. I'm good at that.
the podcast killer.
Dun, dun, dun.
John Wilson is the podcast killer.
In a world where podcasts needed to die.
Well, this one doesn't need to die. It's growing. So you're not doing your job then, John.
Oh,
Good.
sorry.
Which is good.
Well, I could kill this podcast right now, and here
Actually,
I go.
I'm
No,
recording, so
just
you can't. Well, I guess you could, but
I could,
yeah,
but I only use my powers for good.
that's good.
But yeah,
But I mean, there's all kinds of
but
mentoring. We're talking about us personally mentoring people. I mean, there's like Bill, he's created a site, comicsmentor.com, so that he doesn't have to personally touch everybody or refer to everybody. He can make a post, and it's enlightening to read. Um, I know I've read it a few times and was like, yeah, cool, okay, I feel better about it. Um, and I'm sure there's other stuff out there the same way. Get enlightened, get pumped. Go check out creators you like. Um, but also, if you're gonna put yourself out there and be ready to receive whatever you get from your mentor. If he's giving you criticisms and suggestions, then take those. Have the heart to take those and run with them. Get better. Um, this is when you get better. That's when we all benefit because there's not a limited amount. I'm going to back up here. There used to be this feel. There's a limited amount of space that for as a limited amount of comics coming out, and because we did it depended on stores to sell our stuff. The only way we could get our stuff out there is through comic shops. That's not happening anymore. The net is wide open. I'm sitting here looking at the Nook from Barnes and Nobles. $250 reader, cheap, full color, wonderful. You know what? That's going to give Apple a run for their money. Don't care for their pricing structures on stuff for it yet, but it's still going to give them a run for its money. So with that possibilities out there, and with the possibilities of publishing online, it's open, man. This market has there is think about it. What other entertainment market out there is like ours? Can a musician just go out there and create a song and put it out there? He has to use MySpace, right? Isn't that what most young musicians are using right now, MySpace?
I
That's
think pretty
Because
much, yeah, yeah, that's probably a trend. But
well,
you
the
know,
thing
other
is, MySpace has some really easy to use plugins. That's why they're using it. A couple of young guys
right,
that were at Free Comic Book Day, he was telling me they went to school with my oldest, and that's the reason they went to MySpace because the easy to use plugins to get their stuff out there, where like Facebook and stuff doesn't have that. Um, but that's really for musicians. They're limited to like maybe that or trying to sell their MP3s to a place that's got billions of them. You know, um, you can't make movies. It's hard. I guess other industries sort of have it, but I feel like our door is so wide open because we can hook people with our artwork at a glance. They don't have to sit
right.
there and listen to a whole song or download it. We can show them I can show them a Eddie Newell image from Camelot Forever, and they're like, "Well, I want more. Where is it? What is it? I want. What is this about?" I posted an image on Facebook, and on Facebook I got like 10 or 15 responses. I got 30 emails personally. What is this? And that's stuff that we can just reach out with and say, "Here we go." We don't even have to give them the whole story. So the market's open. So grow with it. Take suggestions from mentors. Take suggestions from editors and publishers, and definitely work on getting your stuff out there. And all I can say is produce, produce, produce. The more you produce, the better you get. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I've personally, because of business, gone through huge dry spells, and I've always said artwork is not like riding a bike. You can't just sit down and do it whenever you want. You got to work yourself back into being good.
You got to
Yes.
practice
Clay's Way, I'm
every day,
inking.
honestly.
I'm into 30 some odd strips, and I'm just now starting to get the to me, I'm just now starting to get the feel. And I truly don't even have all my tools available to me yet. I can't wait until I have the office set up where I have all my tools there, and shoo, it's gonna be great. But yeah, it takes a lot of work. So be willing to take the suggestions and run with it, and then put the time and effort into it to produce new work. Gosh, Bill, how many portfolios have we seen from people and it's the same portfolio year after year? Well, I started a new piece, but I left it on the table, and
well, I think the second year or third year maybe I did it in Chicago. I was looking at a portfolio and it looked awfully familiar. And I said, "Did I see you last year?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Is there going to be a palm tree on the next page with I think it was Cyber? It was one of the Top Cow
yeah,
maybe Cyber Strike
Oh,
maybe,
Cyblade
and
or something like that.
is one of those guys."
Yeah.
And I said, "Is he going to be leaping?" I said, "Tell me now." And I turned the page and there he is. I said, "Oh, dude, busted," because it was the same samples
right,
as the year before. I mean, they were, and I gave him. I said, "Did I tell you anything different than I told you last year?"
right,
He said, "No, you kind of told me the same thing." I said, "Then why'd you show them to me?"
right,
Uh, it, he had a year to work on new stuff, and if I see something good or sometimes something not glaringly bad, but just something to work on. Some things click with me, and I've seen some other, not so much examples of that, but heard the excuses or um, I think Chris Warner one time, when I took over Sketch, sent me a Dark Horse piece about uh, portfolio reviews because portfolio review was coming up, and it was a piece that they had run, and it's a lot of that same stuff, and it's like, yep, heard that. Um, so those are learning moments too. Um, Hopefully that guy learned, at that moment, but odds are he maybe took it to the, maybe the next table, like a DC table or something, if he could. But um, you're not going to see every portfolio, and you may, squeak it through. But sometimes when I tell somebody if they're going to a convention, maybe to get a consensus of opinion, so um, that face-to-face encounter with somebody can be very telling too, and you can learn from that. But also, not only are we hopefully inspiring more creators, but hopefully every creator that listens to this podcast or reads Sketch, uh, hopefully inspires other people to read comics because I've read a few things, not posts, but posts and some blogs and stuff where people have been exposed to comics that just dismiss them as kid stuff. And we've talked about that before, that attitude. And that is a mentoring moment too, because you can expose um, something that we all love that are doing this and uh, listening to it or whatever. You can give that's a gift that you can give somebody else. If you love it that much, share it with other people because there are other people who may not like Spider-Man or this typical superhero things, but there are so many other um, books. Walking Dead. Um, there's some people turned on by Scott Pilgrim, um, and then it was just a movie. And I watched the movie last weekend. And ElfQuest, when it came out, a lot of parents read that to their
Mm,
kids, and their kids got interested in reading, not just comics, but
right.
reading. And that opens. It's like a flower. It opens up, it blooms, and you know that it becomes so much more than just doing comics and enjoying them, but sharing them, and that's sharing your world with other people. So,
Well, you touched on a very important point there. That guy that brought the same samples back to you didn't love the work, didn't love comics. Otherwise, he would have done new samples.
right,
And if he had taken it to that fictitious DC editor, even if he had gotten a job, he wouldn't have kept the job because he obviously couldn't come through.
yeah,
The big problem I think with a lot of people is they're trying to do comics for the money. Well, here's three people right now who can tell you don't do it for the money. You got to love it. If you don't love it, why are you bothering with it?
Right.
And that's probably the biggest mentoring moment that we can give anybody. You got to do it. You got to draw comics because or write or whatever you do. You got to do it because you wake up in the morning and that's the first thing you think about doing. You go to bed at night and you're upset with yourself that you have to sleep because you have a page on your table that's not done. It's you have to love it. And if you love it, then chances are at least potentially good that something will come out of it. But, if you're like this guy who is just hoping that there's that one guy that's going to tell him these 8-year-old samples are fabulous and here's
right,
a multi-thousand-dollar job, then that ain't going to happen.
yeah. I mean, you have to find your joy in it.
Right.
If it becomes a chore, um, if it's work, not worth with a capital W, and I really mean emphasize the chore aspect where it's drudgery, then maybe switch something else. Whether it's do something else for a while until you can rediscover that sort of magic. And I talk about magic a lot, that magical feeling that comics can give to you, or certain things can. My children are wonderful examples of that. Our children are, and the, or when you create a story or you get that idea. I when I got Ursula and I put those pieces came together in my mind, that was a moment of joy, um, because it just clicked. And those moments don't always come, but um, find the joy in your life, your career, and if it's drudgery or if it's a chore, then take a break. Maybe that's all you need, but um, maybe go study a little bit. Take those notes you know that people have said. Well, you need to work on your backgrounds. Maybe go work on backgrounds for a while. Draw some trees. Draw some houses. Um, improve yourself. So when you come back to it, you've got a new weapon, a new tool to use, and unleash it.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
okay.
Okay, have we patted enough heads? Yeah, I'm joking.
Duck, duck,
I
duck,
wouldn't
duck,
have created
goose.
Sketch Magazine if I didn't wholeheartedly believe in educating and mentoring the next group of creators.
Right.
And now we've been doing Sketch for 10 years. And I've been doing Blue Line for 20 years. And I would have never created the first pack of art paper for anybody except myself if I didn't believe in helping us all along and creating some great products and great stories. So I'm
Right.
definitely 1,000% behind this. And like I've always tell everybody, I'm out there with everybody. I'm out there creating. I'm out there making. I'm out there with everybody trying to do this. So it's something I truly, truly do believe in, and we need to touch base on it more often, probably. But I feel like this podcast is what it's about. It's the helping and sharing and mentoring, helping out. So, but I tease a little bit, but
That is why we're here,
yes,
after
it
all.
is. Um, do we want to start wrapping some things up?
We could.
Well,
Yeah.
John, you shouldn't have too much to talk about since we just talked 2 days ago.
I have a million. No, I have two. I have two whole things since we did the last
Yes.
podcast. The first, this is on the sketch blog on comic related. If this just happens to be your first podcast, we should preface it by saying that. I have drawing the face for each gender. I touched on this on the last podcast that drawing women can be difficult, especially for the artist that's really starting out. It's very easy to make very blocky sort of, East German wrestler women sort of faces if you're not careful, because female faces are very different from male faces, starting at the bone structure and working its way out. So you have to get good at that before you can go any further. So got a tutorial here on drawing male and female faces, and the guy also puts in a little plug for his own strip. So we'll forgive him for that because he did such a good job on the faces. And then I found a couple of videos, and this really has nothing to do with comics per se, unless you happen to be someone who is into the sculpting aspect of it, or you may be looking to take your comic character to the next level. But I was always a big fan of stop motion animation. A big Ray Harryhausen fan. Really dig the first King Kong. Well, actually, really dig all the King Kongs, but I really dig the first King Kong a lot, and the stop motion work on that. Phil Tippett is a name that some people might know. He did a lot of the work in Empire Strikes Back. He did a lot of the kind of pre-computer animation, and as much as I love technology and as much as technology rules my life, um, there are some things I think are getting lost with the advent of technology that should be held on to, and I think stop motion is one of them. So I came across 3 videos with Phil Tippett kind of moving around a little monster here, and then I think he talks a little bit about Star Wars in the last one. So that's pretty much it for me in the long span between podcasts.
Bill, what you got going on?
At Comics Mentor, I've been picking up where I left off before I got sick um, with the flu, which you can still hear in my voice. Yes, I know. I don't always sound like Barry White.
We just thought
Uh,
this was your radio
Yes.
voice.
no, that's not. I haven't done my radio voice yet.
Uh-oh.
That'd
But
be scary.
it's not that scary. Picking up on with thoughts about improving and not only just improving your life, your situation, looking at the things that may be holding you back. Again, once upon a time, I did a post on things that haunt you, and that's sort of touching back on that because there are things that do hold us back, whether it's that idea that we can't let go, or um, maybe that credit card bill that's not been paid, or that kind of thing. Different. It's something different from everybody, maybe. Um, and every day, I'm trying to do something about improvement right now, especially with the new year coming up, because people are going to be making their New Year's resolutions, which historically don't pan out, but some do. But it's something that, again, something that you can work on, and everybody's a work in progress. Nobody's a done deal. So no matter where you are, no matter how far you feel that you're down on the totem pole, you can work your way up. You can do what you have to do with your own situation. If you need to work on your inking or your backgrounds or your anatomy or uh, pay the credit card bill, or just have those nagging things off your plate, so to speak, so that you can so that you can enjoy what you're doing, your life, what you're doing, your family, everything. Uh, it's just encouraging. So, and also, I've been looking at a couple of people, portfolio pieces and that kind of thing. I always do that. So, if you have something that uh, if it concerns you about your style or about I have people who, um, you know, just to have someone to vent to, um, I'm there, and I don't judge you. If I can offer you words of advice, or if I can just listen, that's what I'm there for, and I do that almost on a regular basis anymore. And I absolutely don't mind doing that because so much of my life personally, this is a personal thing. I feel I've been selfish in some things. Um, Shut up, guys. uh, See, they laugh, but
How'd
it's
you
true.
see me shaking my head? Wait,
Wouldn't you like to know, Johnny? Webcam man.
darn
Uh,
it.
but it's not about penance or it. Some things, yeah, it's about giving back when I can because I haven't been as good about that in some things in my lifetime across the board, maybe. Or I feel that because maybe that's something I put on me, and maybe that's something I need to let go. But when I write these posts, like I said, they're always about me in some way, and I inspire the post. And if someone else benefits, whether it's about art or comics or uh, these improvement things or encouraging things, then I'm good with that. I hope that someone benefits from that, and that's going to continue to be my mission on Comics Mentor. So there you
All
go.
right. And we're getting ready to launch the next art contest over on the boards. Despicable Me.
Uh huh.
You gonna write something up for
Yeah,
that? I've got the DVDs in, so
yeah,
if you wanted to try to set up a deadline and stuff, we can also run that next sketch. Okay.
yeah. That is out. I mean, the ads are playing now, so this is a good time.
Right.
So
Okay. Um, this isn't exactly an email. It's a post on my Facebook page where I posted about podcasts coming out. And Jose Gonzalez, and I apologize if I screwed up your name. I enjoy your podcast. I was wondering, will you be considering bringing guests onto the show next year? Mitch Bird, Bo Smith, who often contribute to the magazine, would be very compelling guests on your show. We've talked several times about starting a second podcast, guys. Sort of where we would do an interview. Maybe a couple of us would get together and we would do an intro. Then we would run the interview, and then we'd get together and discuss what that creator was talking about. Needless to say, with the holidays and everything, it's nothing we're going to get going right now, but it is something we're discussing. It takes time, and we have to fit it into our schedule. But definitely, considering we have a huge amount of audio from Alex Ross, getting Bo Smith or Mitch Bird online, is not a problem. Along with like Tony Moore, and who's Walking Dead, and I think he's doing a new series for Venom. So we know enough people. We could definitely do a interview slash how you do it type podcast. So it's something we're in discussion, and we'll definitely let you know when things take off on it. See, I want to give a plug to we have a we have the Apple app for Sketch Magazine. Please check it out if you're Apple. I've got it on my Apple phone. It's really cool. You just touch it, downloads the latest podcast, boom, it's there. And I just announced the Android app. I have no information up, but tomorrow I'll get links and stuff over at sketchmagazine.net for it. And it's available. It's ready to download. So I have to find someone with an Android phone and have them download it for me so I can play with it and check it out. So, but Clay's Way, I know John jumped me if I don't mention Clay's Way.
That's right.
New strip was up Monday. New strip will be up Friday. I was getting ready to start a 4-strip story that introduced Jackie as a character in a strip. It just didn't fit in to launch our Christmas strip next Friday. So I'm going to do a couple one-shotters. And then right after Christmas, we are going to do a 6-part introduction on a new main character called Isabel. She is Clay's Lucy to Charlie Brown. And then we will get to see the introduction of Jackie and how Clay takes over the strip for. It's pretty funny. So I've been working on that. Blue Line's keeping us busy with the holiday season. If you need art supplies still, place that order quickly so we can get it out to you. And that's about it. So, John, how can they reach you?
Well, before I
Yes,
say
sir.
that, just so people know, you can also use the Sketch Magazine app on the iPad.
Cool. Great.
Yeah, it's small,
Uh-huh.
but you can still
Okay.
do it. Okay, anyway, you can
Wait.
reach me at
What do you mean
John.
small? Does it open up all the way?
No, it opens up all the way. It's just in the phone size.
Okay.
It transfers to the
Okay.
iPad,
Cool.
but it still
Okay.
works. So
You have to show that to
it
me.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't fill the screen
Okay.
or anything, but
All
yeah.
right. I'm sorry. So
So
how
anyway,
can
no,
how
that's
can they
fine.
get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me always at Sketch Magazine John rather at sketchmagazine.net, um, or John at comicrelated.com.
Bill.
uh, go to comicsmentor.com, and my email is comicsmentor@gmail.com.
Bill almost made it without coughing.
Almost.
Almost.
Close.
You can get a hold of me at bobh@bluelinepro.com, or you can get a hold of all three of us at podcast@sketchmagazine.net. So, if you have a question or you have a plug, please send it to us. We take all suggestions serious, just like Jose's here. Please. So,
Or if there's something you want to hear about. I mean, we can do this alone, but we don't want to. So, if you have something that you'd like us to talk about, research for you, do the legwork, whatever, we're glad to do it. let us know at the podcast email.
And we should give Bill posts each podcast a link over on the boards, comic
he does.
related. So if you have, you want to give us a hard time about this podcast, or if you want to pat us on the back, we're not past taking pats. Jump over there, make a comment or a suggestion, and we'll touch base on it. So, all right, guys,
All
thanks
right.
a lot.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.